Good evening, 12s, and welcome to the Seahawks 360 podcast. I'm Candace Higgins,
Now, Tino Ganasius.
and we are back to discuss some Seahawks football. We are in the fourth quarter stretch of the season. Officially, these last four games will be critical. Seahawks have just had a beatdown, really, on the Vikings, pulled away from them after a tight first half. Final score 37-9. I think the Seahawks defense at this point has had in the past two games 8 takeaways and only allowed 9 points. So dominant days have been before us. Tino, how you feeling?
Good, good. I almost said eating crow again, but I'm not quite there yet. Very good. This defense is a blast to watch, and it's if it's not the secondary, it's the line. If it's not the line, it's the linebackers. Devon Witherspoon, 95 PFF rating, which I know we don't always talk about PFF, but that was the highest rating, I believe, in the NFL
Mhm.
last week. Nicky Manwari's coming out party. He's so fun to watch.
Yeah.
I can't. He is just. He's like it's like what he's not Micah Parsons, but it's like that kind of excitement, that kind of electricity. 6 tackles, 1 sack, 2 tackles for loss, 1 pass defended, 1 quarterback hit. Like he was just phenomenal. Reek Woolen played well. I don't know. I was on fire about this game. I still have my questions about Sam Darnold, obviously, but we can get into that in a minute. But yeah, 37-9 in Atlanta. I do think that if Michael Penix was playing, it would have looked a little bit different because I'm not a Kirk Cousins believer. But hey, 10-3, 6-1 on the road looks nice to me.
Yeah, Kirk Cousins was just trying to clearly like his number one goal was just not to get hit. Like he didn't care if the ball went in the dirt. He
Clearly,
didn't care if the ball went out the sideline. Like his main goal
clearly.
was not to get hit. The only person that be able to get to him was Nick and Memori. Talk about how
Hmm.
amazing he is, and really just how amazing this defense is. It is really I think it's second in point differential, but it's still a leader. If not number one, it's number
Hmm.
two in point differential. They might be them and the Rams kind of going tit for tat there for that, but this defense is phenomenal, and I just think we should start there. It's been in plenty of episodes. We've started off talking about the
Yep.
offense and Sam Darnold and all of that. I just think as dominant as these last two performances have been, a shutout in your last game, and then go on the road, 10 a.m. game, body clockwise, and to dominate the way that this defense dominated. It just continues to be impressive, and every time they stack up, the consistency, I would say, is just the most impressive thing.
Yep.
Even in if I go back to thinking about Legion of Boom days, 2013, 2014, there were times where you know Seahawks got caught slipping a little bit. Maybe ultimately took care of business, but the game was more stressful than it needed to
Hmm.
be, and it was coming down to the wire. And E. Russell will make magic in order to things happen in the end. Like they're for as great as that defense was, and it was historically good, and there was always seeming to be something that kept the other team hanging around. Didn't really
Right.
matter the circumstances. They'd almost, to some extent, at times, they could play down to the opponent. Not as much during the Legion of Boom days, but it happened. But for so far,
Right.
not
Well, and
good.
that was Pete
Not
Carroll's
so
thing was keep the game close, right? Pete
right.
Carroll's thing was keep the game close and we'll win it in the fourth quarter.
Yeah,
That's not this team isn't even trying to keep it close. They're just trying to blow you out,
yeah.
right? They're trying to suffocate you. So one thing I wanted to point out that stood out to me was, sometimes it's quarterback pressures, right? Or sometimes it's linebackers playing really well. We've seen all those things. There were, what was it, 10 passes defended in this game.
Yes.
They batted down 10 passes, which is wild. You don't ever see 10 passes. It was only one, like to have a dominant defense and have 1 sack is crazy. Now, like you said, Kirk Cousins was like, just trying not to get killed.
Yeah.
So part of it is Kirk Cousins just getting rid of the ball quickly. But
Right.
the reality is, how often do you see a defense this dominant with 1 sack? Very, very, very rarely. So it's like I said, one week it's the line, the next week it's the secondary, the next week it's the linebackers. This is a real unit with truly like no holes as far as I can see. No holes really to speak of. It. I don't know. It's again, we'll get to the quarterback in a minute, but as far as the defense goes, this is an elite championship defense. This defense could very well be the number one DVOA defense by the end of 2025 when the season ends.
I think that's very probable because right now the only thing holding them back really is that Bucks game. Like that was just such a such an outlier that it skews all
Hmm.
their numbers. And not to mention, I think we talked about this before, but the Seahawks defense is put in terrible positions consistently in
Yep.
terms of turnovers by the offense, in plus in their own territory really, and so then they're basically giving up three. They're in field goal range on the defensive end
Hmm.
before you can say boo, right? Like that's just how the game is unfolded far too many times, unfortunately. And so if you were to take that out, then I think we actually would be talking about how historic this team is. I think
Yes.
defense is because of those things. The numbers aren't going to show just how good this defense is, and because of that Bucks
Mm-mm.
game, but
Right.
despite those things, they are still right on the tail of the Texans. I think there's an 18-point difference at this point, I believe, between fewest points allowed in the NFL between them and the Texans. They have absolutely got a shot to be the number one defense, not just in DVOA, but some of those counting stats that a lot of people are looking at too.
Yep. Yeah. We've got to enjoy this. That's the thing. We enjoy watching this team because it's you get a defense like this is generational, right? You get a defense like this once every 20, 30 years. I know we had Legion of Boom, but there are a lot of franchises that have never had a defense like this in their entire existence.
Mhm.
So enjoy it. I also, the national media is all over the Seahawks, obviously, right? And they've been talking a lot about Coach McDonald, but it's he truly has had the impact on the defense that he was hired to have. And you don't very very rarely do you see a coach actually have the impact that the owner when they hire them wants them to or expects them to. He surpassed those expectations in what, a year and a half. We have to start talking about him, in a different light. I think we really do have Sean McVay, the defensive Sean McVay on our hands here. Of course, credit goes to John Schneider as well, but this doesn't happen just because of talent, right? You got to have a scheme. You got to coach them up. You got to be a motivator. You got to be a lot of things to have a defense be this good. Um,
Yeah.
I also want to add that the defense has been great. We've seen flashes from the offense, but boy, what does Rashid Shaheed's speed do to field position, and what does his speed do to these special teams? Because that return, he was electric. That kind of speed is not the kind of speed we're used to seeing on special teams with the Seahawks. It's all three phases right now. It really he's a game changer.
To your point, I've gone back and I've looked at their replay a few times, and obviously, guys have to keep their blocks. But like, if guys hadn't kept their blocks, it didn't matter because he was blowing past everybody. Like it's literally when you blink, 1, 2, and he's into the like he's
Gone.
already gotten past the line of defense. Like
He's gone.
yeah, like it's something I don't. I mean, we saw Torrey Horton have a historic uh his was a punt return, I
Punt
think.
return. Hmm.
And you saw these, it's kind of an orchestra, right? You saw these blocks come into play. You saw him make a couple moves. You saw him make a
Hmm.
couple guys miss, and he was just a ghost. Like I've
Speed.
almost never seen anything like it.
It's game changing speed. It's the kind of speed that we've wanted or craved on this team, and it's different because it's sudden. We've had really fast players, right? DK sub 4.4, right? DK was super fast. Woolen super fast, but they're big, right? They're 6'4", and they've got these long strides, and they eat up ground. Shaheed is sudden, right?
Yeah,
It's 0 to 60 immediately. It's a different type of speed, and that kind of acceleration gets you. That's the kind of acceleration you need on special teams to change field position, right? To return a kickoff for a touchdown. It's just different, and I think we're going to start to see him show up more on the offensive side, right? You have to utilize that speed. We used to joke about MVS, remember in the off season, and how okay, he's going to stretch the field, but like, is he any good? And he's trash and all that. This is like the absolute supercharged perfect version of that speed that we wanted with this offense. I don't know. I do think he changes the complexion of this offense down the stretch. And what I saw from him on that kickoff return was fun.
Yeah. Yeah, his team has been I think it's been a lot of fun. I know that was the one thing you were worried about when you looked at this team and you were like, it's boring, it's gonna be a boring team. I think there are still some elements that are, that plays true in, but their play on the field has its own personality, has its own swagger,
Yes.
has its own distinct style, I think, that just makes it fun to watch. I mean, we're
Mhm.
talking about special teams. We haven't even talked about Nicky Memori's blocked field goal.
Yep.
And how many times have we seen that this year? Like he obviously had a breakout game. Big deal for him. And really happy to see that for him. But we've seen that from a Julian Love. We've seen that from a
Mhm.
Leonard Williams. I don't think Leonard
Right.
Williams this year, but we've just seen it time and time again where there's so many different guys stepping
Yep.
up to make plays. You can't I can't help but just be excited about the possibilities. And what's crazy is going back to defense for a second, his defense is only getting better. They're you can see they're getting better week by week, and they're getting healthier at the right
Yep.
time. We've got
Yep.
Julian Love back. You saw him make a big play. You could tell they had him on a pitch count. He's still getting his
20
legs
snaps
under
there.
him,
Hmm.
but man, you can see the difference. I mean, as great as Ty Okada has been, Julian Love is Julian Love.
Right.
Jaron Reed is Jaron Reed.
Right.
And having those guys back, I just think I I think ultimately, like you said, I don't think there'll be an argument at the end of the year that they were truly the number one defense this year.
Well, yes. And the encouraging thing to me is, you saw again, PFF is not the end all, but you saw Drake Thomas have a great game. You saw Derek Hall have a good game. He's a 74 grade. Boye Mafe, 72.5, right? We saw Mafe pop a little bit in this game in ways that we hadn't seen in a hot second, right? Reek Woolen is looking better week by week. These guys are being elevated and plugging holes that we thought might be there. Drake Thomas, 76.5, and they're stepping up. And then, again, it's a different player every week. There's no real weakness when you look at this defense. Maybe the second safety spot, maybe if you don't love Kobe Bryant, but like linebacker, off-ball linebacker has become a strength, a
It's
huge strength. And it's not Tyrese Knight, right? It's Drake Thomas and Ernest Jones.
but
It's just
Tyrese but Tyrese Knight has looked good when he's gotten his moments
flashes.
too. Yeah.
He flashes, right? The
Yeah.
athleticism flashes out there. It's if this defense stays healthy and continues playing the way that it does, there is, I won't say Super Bowl potential, but there's potential to make at least a little bit of a run, depending on whether you get Dr. Jekyll or Mr. Hyde out of old Sam Darnold.
Yeah. I think all of those are legitimate points. Nick and Rory, by the way, his PFF grade stunk. And to me,
53.2.
yeah. And to me, that's exciting because, I follow Mike's spin move, Griffin Sturgeon. He's always got interesting takes when it comes to linebackers.
Mhm.
But he's pointed out several struggles that Eamon Warriors have, particularly when it comes to coverage. In fact, I think a lot of times when they do give up explosive plays, I kind of think it kind of tends to fall on Eamon Warrior more often than not. In the Rams game, it was Ernest Jones. It was on him,
Mhm.
uh, but he's 21. And
Yep.
like, despite those plays that he gives up in coverage and those explosives that ultimately mean nothing because the defense is so good it doesn't matter,
Right.
like he's only going to continue to get better. He's learning so much so fast. And most people would argue he was the defensive player of the game,
Right.
despite the fact that he did have, I think, probably some legitimate errors in coverage in particular.
Right. He's like that. Like, you might look at Luka Doncic, right? And Luka has a okay game. You're like, yeah, Luka was okay. But then you look up and Luka's got 30 and 12 assists and 9 rebounds. You're like,
Yes.
what? What
Yes.
happened? Eamon Worry, this game, 53.2 PFF.
Yep.
But again, 6 tackles, a sack, 2 tackles for loss, a quarterback hit, a pick,
Mhm.
a field goal block. Like,
Yeah.
he filled the stat sheet. And
Yes.
they're still saying he has room for improvement. So no, I think he is. And they called him a star, right, on the broadcast. They legitimately called him a star. And people, people like to say that this Hawks defense doesn't have a superstar, right? It's a bunch of very, very good players. I beg to differ. I would say that Witherspoon is a star.
Yep.
I would say that Eamon Worry is a star.
Hmm.
I would say that Ernest Jones is a star. And by star, I mean like, potential top five player at that position in the
Yes.
in the game. I would say that Leonard Williams played like a star last season, right? He could have been
And
the
this
defensive
season.
defensive MVP. I think he showed up more last season in terms of like splash plays and whatnot. But
Hmm.
yes, he's there. And then
Yep.
I would also say that we've seen. I'll stop there. Demarcus Lawrence. I think you could say maybe he isn't a star, but is
He's a star.
right below that this year in terms of
I
his
think
play.
he's I think he's superstar. I think
So
with all the fumbles he's forced and the plays I mean, really, he's been the winner, the Leonard Williams in terms of flashy plays. That's
yes,
been Demarcus Lawrence, and so
yes.
he fits
So
in that category. And I'll throw in Byron Murphy has
yes,
absolutely come on this year, and he has turned into a star. And in fact, I believe he's leading D tackles right now in Pro Bowl votes.
he's
So
he's causing all kinds of havoc, right? He's so quick. His first step is so quick. But I think people like to see this defense and they may not know the names as well because they're not paying as much attention because we're in Seattle. But this defense is, I think it's filled with stars. It's not a bunch of guys playing together who are pretty good. I would argue that it's a bunch of stars that they put together, at least the way they've been playing this year. How many defenses could say that, right? Where you can go down the list and say that guy's a star. That guy, there aren't that many. There really aren't that many.
And furthermore, to piggyback off that point, yes, you got stars across the board. I agree with you completely. But the drop off between the stars and the guys whose names you wouldn't know, it's not that big. It's not that big
Mm-mm.
of a step.
Well,
It's not
think
that
about
big of a
this,
difference.
right? We're talking about like a Jaron Reed, right?
Hmm.
Or a Boye Mafe, or Derek Hall,
Rick Woolen,
or Drake Thomas, Reek Woolen, for sure, right? Even a Job, like Job didn't really play that well in this game. I think they tried to target him a bit,
yeah,
but he's played for as a second or a third corner. He's played incredibly well over the last year and a half or so. No, this defense is phenomenal.
yeah.
I don't want to see Patrick O'Connell out there that much though. I don't. He drives me crazy. He drives me crazy. But the rest of this defense is. I'll put Ty Okada in there too. But no, this is an elite, at minimum top three defense, potentially number one DVOA defense by the end of this year.
Yeah, I think it's top.
Awesome.
I think it's top two right now. It's between the
Demi
Texans have a
Houston.
more solid
Mhm,
case on paper, but the Seahawks have never been healthy. The Seahawks defense
mhm.
has never been healthy, and that's what makes it to me the best the best defense in the world. And
I,
also, as bad as their offense has been, it's not put them in nearly as bad as
right.
the
Well,
Sam Darnold has frankly put the Seahawks defense in the
I
position he.
would say too that Texans defense, you got Anderson and Hunter as those bookends, like we
Mhm.
talked about, and Stingley might be the best corner in football, and so
Yes,
they have a lot. I would say their star power is a little stronger, but I think the Seahawks have fewer holes. And I'll
yes.
give me the defense that's solid across the board and that's assignment sound. It doesn't make mistakes heading into the playoffs over the one that makes the splashier plays.
And I think they also have a very sound defense. I think their guys don't get as much shine. Same kind of same thing. I think they also have a sound defense. I think the Seahawks defense is unique because of obviously
Hmm.
Mike McDonald's system and how he
Hmm.
coaches those guys and just how many different way how versatile they are. I would give the
Right.
Seahawks the edge. I think they're both extremely sound, disciplined, physical. The difference I would give the edge to the Seahawks defense is just that versatility, and that doesn't matter what personnel package you do. And it doesn't matter what you throw at the defense. They got you. You know,
Atlanta was 1 for 13 on third down, 7.6%.
I pray
Seahawks were
for
six,
stuff like this.
Seahawks were 6 of 13, 46% conversion rate on third down. They were 1 for 13. Part of that is Cousins, part of that is that offensive line, but honestly, a lot of that is the Seahawks defense, right? Can we quickly adjust this or address this offense?
Yeah, yeah, for sure. Um, I'll let you start. I'll let you start. I'm surely going to be more optimistic than you are, so I'll give you the heads up first.
So it was the tale of two halves. We know that, right? For as far as uh, Sam Darnold goes. First half, I believe he was 5 of 9. Was it 5 of 9? Yeah, I think
I
it was. Hold on, let me
don't think
bring
it
it
was
up
that
here.
good.
No, 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 no. Sorry, he
Uh,
was 9 of 15 for 67 yards and a pick in
yeah,
the first
that's
half.
all right.
Second
Yeah.
half, he was 11 of 15 for 182 and 3 touchdowns. 16 turnovers is the most of any player in the NFL.
Oh, Tino. Uh, see, let's bring it back.
He has a lot of skill. I don't. Go ahead.
It
Can you
cut
hear me?
off for a minute, but keep going. It came back. The connection went out and then it came back.
You there?
Yeah, I'm with you. Can you hear me? Connection out again. Let's see. Bring you back. Can you hear me now? Can you hear me?
You there?
Yeah, I
Hello?
think the connection went out.
Yes. Kind of. You're breaking up.
Yeah,
You're breaking
I
up.
think your connection might be your connection's iffy. All right, let's see. Let's see. Hopefully, you guys can still hear me. All right, let's see. We'll work on that when we get back in. But Watino's working on getting the connection back up as we figure that out. Um, I like to give it from my perspective. Like Tina was saying, it really was a tale of two halves. And for me, I found it to be overall encouraging. I know Tino's real hard on Sam on Sam Darnold, and so I can see how that may or may not be his take. I'm curious to hear his takeaway, but I could see how maybe he was more discouraged by their performance than encouraged. For me, it was good to see Sam Darnold get back in a rhythm. And I felt for some time now that he's really needed to run more, to take the yards in front. It's been one of the most frustrating parts, starting with the Rams game to me, was I would see there were clear opportunities for Sam Darnold to run. And he just wouldn't. And he just either throw a pick, tailbro pick, or like he'll especially it's annoyed me most in recent times where he'll like get out of the pocket, he'll kind of escape, make a move, seem like he's gonna run and go for it, and then at the last minute, super late, throw a ball across his body. I found that to be absolutely infuriating. Throughout this time. Like I found that to be infuriating, honestly. Because I'm just like, just run for it. Even if you don't get the first down, even if you don't make a big play, like it's a positive addition. That's a positive yards to bring in. And that's what he did. He didn't run for a ton. I'm not expecting Sam Darnold to be Lamar Jackson or Jalen Hurts or whoever when it comes to his athleticism. Like, can you move enough? Can you move within the pocket? Can you extend the play? And he's got that ability, and it's something that he does, and he looks very natural when he does it. So, it gets frustrating when he gets stubborn about, you know, must throw the ball, must throw. I understand he's a quarterback. I know that's his job, but I think if he could just, for as much harp as he gets on the turnovers, in my opinion, if every time he was unsure about where to throw the ball, he just ran instead, I think I'd be fine with that. Like I think I'd be 100% fine with that because he actually looks really good when he extends the play. He actually looks really good when he's, you know, moving the pocket and he's getting down and he's throwing Or better yet, I prefer when he gets out of the pocket and he just runs for a few yards. Because a lot of times when he gets out of that pocket and he throws it, lately it's been a oopsie like that. Like he hadn't got that down yet. The throw on the run, I'll be cool if Sam Darnold doesn't do that another time the rest of the season. Like work on that in the off season. In the meantime, if you're running, man, just run and get as many yards as you can. I don't care if it's 3 yards, even if it ends up still being a sack. I think those plays are better than him trying to throw it across his body late, and then it's a turnover. I think you're back, Tino. You look, your connection looks good again. You can't hear me. I can't hear you either. But it says you're muted. You might be muted, but you still can't hear me on the pod. You can hear me now. Yeah, I can't hear you, but you're muted. Unmute yourself. It says you're muted on your end. I don't know why, but your microphone's got a little X on it. Say something now. Yeah, not sure what's happening. Not sure what's happening. Sorry, folks. Doing our best to work out technical difficulties, but yeah. All right. But anywho, we will keep it rolling. What I was talking about with Sam Darnold was really just, you know, his inability to, or his ability to extend the play, and I should really just take the runs. Like just when in doubt, run. Like that, if that could be a saying for Sam Darnold, for me, that's what it would be. And it's been frustrating because you've seen it in him, and he comes to life right when he does it. It puts him really, I think, running like that puts him back in a rhythm when he feels out of rhythm. It seems to get him back and realigns him in a way. And I don't know if that was a point of emphasis for a while going into Rams game. Them wanting him to preserve himself. I do know he took a hit there, actually. Now that I'm thinking about it, there was a hit he took. Perhaps it was in the Jaguars game. Oh no, I think it was a Texans game. He took a huge hit by Aziz Al Shair in that Texans game. He got up, kind of hit in the chest, and I think ever since that game, he's avoided moving. He's avoided running. He's avoided all of that, and I think now he's got to pull that back out of his bag. I don't know if it was the coaches saying, "Hey, Sam, need you to protect yourself, need you to, look better, preserve yourself. We need you," type of thing, or if it was him just sort of being intimidated, if you will. I hear sound.
Can you hear me
Yeah.
now?
All
Good.
right,
Okay.
we fix it. So anyway, but yeah, I have. Did you hear me? Kind of as I was going through the Sam Darnold thing and
I did. You hijacked my Sam Darnold stuff.
well, I had to pick back up where you left off, man. The show must go on.
Right. So where I was going with Darnold was, and I heard some of yours. First of all, I don't care how you run. If you turn the ball over that many times, it don't matter. 16 turnovers. I don't know if you heard me say that part.
Yeah,
Most
you got it right.
turnovers of any player in the NFL. More than Geno Smith, more than Tua Tagovailoa. He went 9 of 15 in the first half, 67 yards and a pick. We all know he looked terrible. 11 of 15 in the second half, 182, 3 touchdowns. Looked great. I can't get behind this team as a Super Bowl contender or even an NFC championship type team if Sam Darnold isn't a consistent quarterback. I just can't. I get that he could go on a heater, but I haven't seen it in the clutch and I haven't seen it against good teams. Now I'm talking about the Seahawks as a whole, but I think these performances are connected to Sam Darnold's performance. So only 3 wins have come against teams that are currently in the playoffs for the Seahawks. 3 of their 10. All of them were in the AFC. So they beat Jacksonville, Pittsburgh, and Houston. They have not beat another winning team. They've lost 3 games, right? Obviously, they're 10-3. Then there are to teams that would be in the playoffs, and it's the Bucks, the Rams, and the Niners. They played Max Brosmer at quarterback against the Vikings. They'll face the Colts without Daniel Jones. I just think this is a team unfortunately, to me, this is a team that is going to not going to win against the best competition, and that is going to rest squarely on Sam Darnold's shoulders. I just think he's too inconsistent, and I think he's too turnover prone, and I don't think he has the ability right now to perform well against the best teams, and that's who you're facing in the playoffs. I don't like it. I don't like the way he looked in the first half. This Atlanta defense is not that good, right? They've got a couple of pass rushers. Jesse Bates is a great safety, right? AJ Terrell is a decent corner, but he should have dominated. I expected him to put up the same numbers he was at the beginning of the season. Not my
Well,
dude.
no, actually, the Falcons run a similar system as not. They're not Brian Flores, but in terms of their blitz rate
But they
and
don't. But they don't have the
and their
talent.
pass rush, they actually have been very good in terms of pass rush this year.
Yes, and I acknowledge that. Like I said, that their two edges, especially the two kids that they drafted, are playing really well, and they've got one good corner and one good safety. What I'm saying is, I expected Sam Darnold to put up huge numbers in both halves. He has to be a consistent quarterback. I would rather. I've said this before. I would rather him be not have the same highs and be a decent quarterback, but protect the ball over what he's been doing. And I get that his final stats were 20 of 30 for 249, 3 touchdowns, a pick. Don't care. Don't turn the ball over.
Yep. So in 2021, when Matt Stafford led the Rams to the Super Bowl, he had 17 interceptions, which tied for the most that year.
Different offense.
Different offense,
Different offense, different
but not
offense
that
coach.
different.
Different
No,
offense, different offensive coach. I don't think it's the other thing is interceptions are not purely you can look at an interception and say it's the quarterback's fault, and you can look at an interception and say it was, it was tipped or whatever it is. A lot of these are Darnold's fault, right? Not to mention the fumbles.
I think I think lately that's been the
He
case.
has
I
more
think in the
turnovers than
beginning of the
Geno
season,
Smith.
it was not.
More turnovers than Geno Smith. More
Yep.
turnovers than Tua Tagovailoa on a team that doesn't throw the ball very often.
I'm just saying it's been done before. It's been
It
done
ain't
before.
it ain't gonna be done this year.
It
It's
may
just not.
not, but
It's just
but
not.
it's been done before. What I'm saying is it's not definitively going to hold them back. Yeah, it might,
Matt
but
Matt
it's not
Stafford
certain.
in the clutch. Matt Stafford in the clutch when it counts is Matt Stafford, right? Sam Darnold in the clutch when it counts is I don't know, is Geno Smith, if you want to call it that. I love Geno, but that's kind of who he is. I don't have the confidence. Running game looked better, right? Running game went for 5 yards a carry, 26 carries, 129 yards. Now a lot of that was, well, some of that was Darnold and some of that was Velus Jones. But better average, 129 yards, still trying to run the ball. Obviously, JSN looked great. I think the rest of this defense is fine, or the rest of this offense is fine. I don't care that Royal got hurt. I don't think that's going to hurt the team that much. It's this entire season is predicated on or it's resting on the shoulders of Sam Darnold. The success or failure of the Seattle Seahawks in 2025 rests squarely on Sam Darnold, whether he can handle the pressure. And I'm telling you right now, he can't.
Maybe not this year. Maybe we'll see. But I'll tell you this: every team in the NFL has major questions right now, and if the Seahawks have one, I can live with that. I can live with it. The only other team who doesn't have any questions, unfortunately, is in the Seahawks division, and that's the Rams.
Look, you could have questions about your linebacker, your kicker, your punter, your second corner, your safety. You could be soft at D tackle. You could
Those
have you could have an okay offensive line. You could have a below average wide receiving core. You could have an average running back. Any of those, and you're still straight. You're still good. Your team is straight, right? You're
major
gonna be
questions.
okay. If
Major questions. Not
no, no, no,
the
no, no,
other
no. If
teams
you
have
have a
major.
question at quarterback, it is a completely different thing. It is worth five of the positions that I just named. You could have a problem at corner. You could probably have a problem at safety. You could have a problem at linebacker. You could have a problem at wide receiver. And it is still not as impactful as having a problem at quarterback going into the playoffs. Quarterback is the most important position in sports,
Yeah.
in all of sports. And ours isn't very good. We're not
Guess
going nowhere.
guess here's where I stand. It's not a good year of quarterback play. It's just not. Because guess who else accompanies Sam Darnold in the number of interceptions he has? Justin Herbert. I think Patrick Mahomes has one less. Hold up, where's my list? Where's my list here? QB.
But you just name teams that aren't going anywhere. You just name teams that aren't maybe not might not make the playoffs.
There are teams that are considered universally that's had the best quarterbacks in the league,
Nobody's saying
and
Patrick Mahomes is the best quarterback though.
most
Not
people
anymore.
would still
Not
consider him
anymore.
that, even though he's not playing like that. Most
He
people
doesn't
would.
have any help and he's not playing well.
Justin Justin,
Drake, Drake May for the 11-2 New England Patriots is playing very well, right?
yeah,
Bo Nix for the 11-2 Broncos. Now they might have one of the best, maybe top 3 defense in the NFL, but he's playing well.
he's got 9 interceptions.
Jalen Hurts,
That's two less
he's
than.
still playing well. He's still playing well.
So is
Yeah,
Sam.
but he's not fumbling the ball all those times either. He's not fumbling the ball all those times either. Also, Denver Broncos aren't going to win anything either because of Bo Nix.
We'll
Green
see.
Bay Packers,
I think you could say
Jordan
that
Love.
about a lot of teams. I think you could say the Texans. What are people? What are holding people back? They have questions about C.J. Stroud. I
No,
just
they
think
don't.
you can look.
Not over the last 6-8 games. They don't.
Most
And the
people
reasons why they had
in that
questions about him is
media
because they
do.
couldn't protect him. They couldn't protect. I'm just saying. We will see.
Most people are kind of you know so when it comes to
Sam
C.J.
Darnold
Stroud.
ain't
By
that
no
dude.
means.
Sam Darnold ain't that dude. He's just not.
I'm just saying if there's a year for Sam Darnold to be Sam Darnold, this is the year. Here's what I think. I just think there's been a shift. There's been a shift. Defense is back. The running game is back. That's where we are in the NFL this year.
You still have
Interceptions are higher than they have been, and defenses are getting offenses more than offenses are getting defenses.
in the
That's where we
regular
are.
season. In the regular season, it will change in the playoffs. I 100% promise you. Quarterback play will be 100 times more important in the playoffs as it is right now. I promise you.
That's true.
Yeah. Ain't no bad quarterback gonna win the Super Bowl. They're just
But Sam
not.
Darnold isn't bad. You don't get this production and be bad. You just don't. You don't. Watch the Vikings. You don't get bad, not you don't get bad production. Is he flawed? Yes. When the moment is big,
I'm
will
not
he falter?
I'm not
Maybe.
debating that there's production. What I'm saying is that you can't have those big blowups. You cannot have those big turnovers. Like I said, if you took care of the ball and you had 80% of his stats, you could win because you're protecting the ball. When you
Yeah.
turn the ball over and you're reckless with the ball like he is, I don't care how much production there is because these are game-changing plays,
You
right? This
don't get the
turn
production without they're the same. You don't get the production without
I'm not
that
saying he
environment.
can't make good passes. I'm not saying he can't play good quarterback. I'm saying he won't in the playoffs and he doesn't against good teams. And that's who
He
you face
hasn't.
in the playoffs.
He hasn't against good teams. He's got a
He
lot to
won't.
prove.
He won't.
He hasn't.
Okay, the first and you know what? The first time he or when he does it, it'll be the first time that he's ever done it, right?
It will. I
In a
mean,
big
that's
game.
how what was that Eli Manning story for forever, right? Like he
Peyton
was the
Manning. It
guy
was
that
Peyton
couldn't
Manning.
get
It
it
was
done.
Peyton Manning's story forever. But Sam Darnold ain't no Peyton Manning. I'll tell you that too. He's just not.
He's not Peyton Manning,
The
but
best quarterback is gonna. The best quarterbacks are gonna rise to the top in the playoffs. It's gonna be
is he
Josh
that far?
Allen. It's gonna be Josh Allen. It's gonna be Drake May. It might be Lamar Jackson if the Ravens make it, right? Even if the Bengals, who are 4-9 right now, if they made the playoffs, it's gonna be Joe Burrow. They won't. If Mahomes makes the playoffs, they're gonna be dangerous, right? You can bring up the interception numbers of Herbert, and I think Herbert is very talented, but he also has problems. It's going to be the Eagles in part because they get consistent play from Jalen Hurts. It could be the Cowboys
I know
because of
you
Dak
didn't just
Prescott.
say that.
I
Did you
did,
just say that to me?
I did, I
He
did.
just had as
I
much as
watched
you
the game.
killed Sam Darnold.
I watched the game.
He had one more turnover than Sam Darnold did in that Rams game,
He did. He had a,
and
a
you
bad
saw the
he had a
consistency.
bad game, but he is a better quarterback, and he makes fewer bad plays, and he
Wow,
can run the ball. There's
wow.
a huge difference between those two. Dak
Wow.
Prescott, Jordan Love, Caleb Williams. Why are the Bears so good this year? Because Caleb Williams is playing great at quarterback, right?
What has
The
Jordan
Rams.
Love done in the playoffs ever?
Jordan Love isn't the same. He's not at the same place on his development cycle either. Also, if you ask executives to rank those two, they're going to tell you Jordan Love is an elite quarterback with elite skills, and they're going to say Sam Darnold is a replacement level player.
I don't think that's true at all. I
It's
really don't.
100% true.
It's not true.
100%.
It's
The
not
way
true.
look the way that Jordan Love is regarded. Look at the contract they gave him, right? That's all you need to look at. That's how you know how executives feel about players. Jordan Love got the biggest contract he could get because he's
So did Tua.
talented. Yeah, but that's Miami. Miami don't.
I mean, but
And it was
there
also
are plenty
before
of quarterbacks
also
on bad contracts right now.
okay, but Love on bad contracts, but I'm telling you right now, Jordan Love is universally considered to be near elite quarterback. Sam Darnold is a journeyman. He's a
He's not.
journeyman. A
He's
journeyman. He is the
Jordan Love.
John Conchar of quarterbacks. That's who
No,
Sam Darnold is.
he's really not.
John Conchar.
I think this season has proven that he's not. I think he's still regarded as maybe slightly below top 10 to top 15, depending on where
No,
you
he's
go.
not even close to top 10 right now.
That is where he's universally considered. You may not
By
consider him
whom? Seahawks fans?
no, by national media, which I actually watch pretty often.
Uh-uh.
I'm
I
watching
don't.
these rankings, man. I'm watching these things, and
He's
people
not.
have Sam Darnold actually
Okay.
above Jordan Love.
By the
I gotta watch
playoffs.
first things first,
Okay. By
for
the
example.
time those guys are talking heads. By the end of the playoffs, we know more than they do. By the playoffs, you watch. By the playoffs, he's gonna fold. It would not surprise me to see the Seahawks make a change at quarterback going into 26. I'm not
If
saying they will, but they're not going to win anything with him. They're just not. He's way
I
too
gotta,
inconsistent.
here's where I stand with Sam. I got a 2 year window. I got a 2 year window. That's where I stand with him. He's got 2 years to prove he can do it. I would love for him to do it this year because I think this season is primed for all of the reasons that I said. Their schedule was, it has always been a number one reason why I had them having so many wins. The NFC and how weird and wonky and the quarterback play across the board has just been phenomenal. How many years are there going to be a Josh Allen down bad, a Patrick Mahomes down bad, a Lamar
Hmm.
Jackson down bad? So I think
Hmm.
the circumstances surrounding this year are prime, and I would love for Stan to be able to step up in the moment right now and rise to the occasion. However, should he not be able to? As for me, one, I don't think the Seahawks have a better option than him, and two, I I I think it takes time for quarterbacks to adjust. I don't think there's that big of a difference between an Eli Manning and a Sam Darnold, other than the last name, in terms of his ability to struggle at times and to be frustrating at times. But he's got to prove it, and it may take some time of, you know. Now I'm not willing to give him all like 10 years or whatever, but you know what I mean. Like I'm willing to give him a reasonable window of getting better because I've seen Sam improve even this year. I've seen him work on the things he needs to work on. I've seen him be intentional with his ball security in this past game against the Falcons. Now, the interception was interception, but even in the way he holds the ball, you can tell he's trying not to fumble it. I can see those small steps that he's taking to improve. Will it happen all at once? Yes, if this is a team of destiny. But if it doesn't happen and this team isn't a team of destiny, then I'm willing to give it another year because I've seen him work and I've seen him get better. And I don't believe quarterbacks are the same. They just aren't. Matt Stafford is proof of that. That man is, how old is he? 33, 34?
No,
And he's
Stafford's only
playing,
30, I think he's 37, but he was great when he was young. He was
he's,
great when he was young,
he is playing the best ball of his career right now, though. He's playing at an MVP level right now.
but
He, he didn't
he
play
was
like that
never,
last season.
here's the difference. He was never a choker.
A lot of people,
And
Matt Stafford was
and
literally known.
you don't get better in big games. You don't get better in big games over time. To me, that's a DNA thing. And I think Sam Darnold's DNA is screwed up as far as being a winner. He's
I
not a
don't think
winner.
I
He's
don't
not
think
a
it's
winner.
black and
He
white.
chokes when the chips are down.
He has.
There are some players that you want, like a Mahomes, right? That you want when the chips are down. There are just some players that you know are going to win the game for you. Sam Darnold is the exact opposite of that.
He
He
has been.
needs
He's got to prove differently. I just don't think
we
plans
have
are written in
he's
stone.
28 years old and he came out when he was 20. I think this is his ninth season in the NFL. How much time does he need?
How much
I
time
don't
did Leonard Williams need to become all
I
pro
don't
level?
Leonard Williams was always underrated. Also a completely different position, right? That's a position, it's a completely different position. It's apples and oranges.
It is apples and oranges, but I'm saying I've given you apples. I've given you quarterbacks who have also overcome these same obstacles. And Matt Stafford, when he
No,
came
no,
to
no,
the
no.
Rams,
There is no
had
comp. Matt Stafford's a Hall of Famer. And he was a Hall of
he is
Famer when he
now.
was young.
He
No,
had
look
a
at his numbers.
reputation of Stat
He
Pafford. That was his nickname,
he
Stat
had the
Pafford.
most. He had. Let me look at stats. How many 5,000 yard seasons did Matt Stafford have with the Lions.
But he had the reputation of a pat statter because people said the same thing. Now, was it the Lions just being that bad?
He
Yeah.
wasn't a
But I
choker.
also say that he got to grow in those moments and that he had rough moments himself in those opportunities, times where he could have put the game on his back. But
There's been no growth though. He's 28 years old and he's in his ninth season. There's been no growth
he's
in the
only
clutch.
been he's been a
In the
starter for
clutch.
2 years.
No,
He's
no,
had
no, no. Sam
2
Darnold's been a
years.
starter for more than that. He
Yeah,
was a
but
starter last year. He was a starter this year. He was a
two
starter, I believe, for 2 years with the Jets.
the Jets. I'm literally not counting the Jets.
You
No one
can't do
starts
that
well.
though.
No, no
You
one
can't just
starts well
dismiss
for the
him.
Jets.
All right. We'll see in the
Literally no
play.
one.
Hey, when he implodes in the playoffs, we'll
He
see.
might.
No,
He
he will.
might. He might. But again, I'm not willing to write him off, and I'm not willing to write this team off. I'm not willing to shut down any this season is one of the best seasons we've experienced in over a decade.
Totally
Well over
agree.
a decade.
Totally agree.
I'm not willing to shut down my fandom, my excitement, my optimism, my belief in this team, and my belief in all the other aspects of this team because of one thing that could go wrong when every other team around me has something that
I,
could go wrong. I'm just
but
not
there's
willing to
something
do it.
there's something most of the time isn't at quarterback. Also, I believe in 52 of these players. I believe in 52 of the players on this roster. I don't believe in number 14. I
But
just
yeah,
don't.
that
And
I get it.
he hasn't given us reason to.
No, but I believe in this. I believe not just in him, but I believe in the coaching staff enough. And again, I say, I think you underrate how bad the quarterback play has been this season. It's not been good. It's been mediocre at best.
But they will
Every
show up. But they will show up in the playoffs, right? And they've been proven. If you're in the playoff, no matter what kind of year Patrick Mahomes or Josh Allen has, statistically, everyone will put their life savings on them to play well in the playoffs because they will, because they're clutch, because they perform in those moments, because they're wired differently than Sam Darnold is. They just
Josh,
are.
Josh, Josh Allen grew into that. Josh
It took
Allen
him.
killed some playoff
You
games
know how
early.
many years it took him to get there?
2-3.
One.
2-3. Those playoff performance early is he had some games
He's had
where
some
he
bad playoff,
absolutely
and he's had some bad playoff performances. The other thing is he can take over a game with his legs or his arms or his arm. Sorry, not arms. He's not ambidextrous, but
yeah.
he can take over a game with both. Sam Darnold can't with his feet. If he's making poor decisions back there, Seahawks are toast.
I think we just saw that that's not true. I think he
Man,
just gave us proof that he's capable. Now, he's got to remember in the moment to
against
take
whom?
advantage of his gifts
Against whom? Show me
against
a
the
good team.
that have a decent defense.
Well, the
The
Falcons
Falcons
are
defense is the Falcons defense is not why they're so bad.
the Falcons. The Falcons as a team is a dumpster fire. Their coach is about to get fired. Their number one pick quarterback blew his knee out for the third time, I believe, in his career. Their offensive line is okay. They've got two edge rushers and a corner, and that's about it on defense. And Jesse Bates is their safety. They're in shambles. That team is. I don't care what Darnold did against. I wanted Darnold to be perfect against them because he should be.
I just don't think that's a standard. I don't think that's
All
a
right.
realistic standard in the
This
NFL.
conversation, this conversation that we're gonna have after they play the Rams, is gonna be very interesting to see how he plays. As a
It
Seahawks
will.
fan, I hope I'm wrong because I would love to see them win another Super Bowl. But I'm telling you right now, Sam Darnold ain't it. He's just not. And
I
he's and it's
you're not gonna
unfortunate
hear
because
me you're not gonna hear me off of this tape until a year from now. Like play end of playoffs now. Because
so
I just believe it, bro.
we're gonna
Hashtag, bro.
waste the generational defense and the number one receiver in football and an offensive line that can actually play a little bit and an up and coming tight end and a decent running back room. We're gonna and the number one defense in the NFL and a really great special teams because we're gonna give Sam freaking Darnold another year. That's
Mhm.
sad to me.
Yep.
Like, give me anybody else besides him. Just give me
Yeah.
someone who doesn't make mistakes.
I just don't think you're getting that in the NFL right now. Not in this era. It doesn't exist.
Things will change in the playoffs, and then you will see that the quarterbacks that rise to the top will be that way.
It
Look what
might
Joe
be true.
Burrow
It
did.
might be true, but I'm
Joe
not willing
Burrow
to
was
rule it
out
out.
for the entire season, dang near, and he came back and lit Buffalo up and almost carried them all the way back. I just
I'm not willing to do it. It's to me, those moments are rare moments. And
Not for
I've
Joe
just seen
Burrow.
too many
Not for Joe
quarterbacks.
Burrow.
I've seen too I've seen too many quarterbacks. Most quarterbacks struggle initially in those moments. I've also seen them improve. There are a few exceptions, absolutely. Of course, you're gonna be naming some exceptions. Those guys are special.
Hmm. Those are the ones
I'm
who win
not
the Super
saying
Bowls.
Sam Darnold is a top 5 quarterback, but I think he's a capable quarterback. He's got to
Until it
prove it.
counts. You forgot the until it counts part.
You gotta, he's got to prove it. That's a narrative he's got to overcome. That's certainly
Mhm.
his burden to bear. But I'm not willing to throw the ashes on this team before they've even played the rest of the season out. So that's just where I stand. I'm going to stand on belief in this team and belief they can overcome their flaws. I've seen them do it week after week. I've seen small signs along the way. Will this be the year? I don't know, but I think it's possible. And it might never happen. But in the meantime, even if I'm wrong, I'm just not willing to have the mentality that the season is over when they can have the number
Well,
one seed in the
it
NFC.
depends. It depends on how you define over, though. What I'm saying is, when we debate this every week, for me, it's can you win a Super Bowl, and if you can't, you got to keep working towards a team that can. And what I'm saying is, this team can't as long as Sam Darnold's its quarterback.
Yeah, I don't think
So it's over for me. If you can't win the Super Bowl, okay, we're on to the next year. How do we get better?
yeah, I don't think I've seen any team build that way
They build
and
that
be
way all the time. Teams take chances all the time to bring in elite players because they're trying to win a Super Bowl.
but you're
Most
not building
teams,
your roster that way. Look, I would say look here's actually to your biggest argument. I would say the Vikings did that. The Vikings saw Sam Darnold struggle in the biggest moments, and they
hmm
said, he ain't the dude.
hmm
We're moving on. And
yeah.
they are in absolute shambles.
Okay, how many years has JJ McCarthy played? How many games has he played?
But that's the point. Who are
But
you
no, no,
moving
no, no,
off
no,
of
no.
your
But we're
roster?
giving Sam Darnold the same chance, and he's in year 9.
Yeah,
JJ
because
McCarthy is in year 1. He's
this
in
is
year
year
1.
this is in
He's,
year 3. And my question is, what I'm getting at, if you move, let's say the Seahawks do the same play. Sam Darnold struggles, they move off of him. You're
mhm.
going to be doing the exact same thing.
Depends on who
It's
you
going to
get.
be the exact same because you're going to be putting your hands in either Jalen Milroe or some other rookie. More than likely, Jalen Milroe. They're probably not going to draft another
I don't
QB
think
at this point. You're doing the same
no,
thing.
I don't think it would be Milrow. If you're moving off of Darnold, you're going no, you're going in a completely different route. And you know what? You might find someone who's just not a choker. Like I said, find me
Who would
someone who's
that
not a
be?
choker who doesn't make mistakes but isn't dynamic.
Who would that
I'll
be?
find a list of quarterbacks and I'll give you 20 quarterbacks right now that I would rather have over him. Give me one
Give me the
second
ones
and I'll
that
find
are
that for you.
available
I just
realistically, because it's not Madden.
we don't
So
know,
that's what I'm
but
asking.
we don't
Like,
know. No,
if
I
you could
understand that,
pick
but we
any
don't know who's
quarterback
going to come
off,
available and who's not.
if you could
We
pick
don't
any
know who's going to
quarterback
come
off the
available and who's
tree,
not.
if
Look,
you
Daniel
you know who's
Jones,
available and who's
Daniel
not.
Jones, Daniel Jones has been phenomenal for Indianapolis.
You take him off the ACL.
Phenomenal.
You take him off the ACL, and you're worried about turnover issues.
No, no, no. I'm talking about him as an example of finding someone that you wouldn't have expected to be great. Nobody expected Bo Nix to be very good, right?
Sam Darnold
Come
is an
Bo
example of
Nix
that.
is better.
Guys,
Bo Nix is a better quarterback, is better at the quarterback position than Sam Darnold is. Hard stop. Hard stop. Hard stop.
chat, if you're listening, I would love to hear your comments.
You
I would
can you
love to
can
hear your
ask a
comments.
You can ask a Broncos fan what they think, and they're going to be biased one way or another. They're either going to hate him or they're going to love him. But you can go
Isn't that
down this list.
talented?
We don't know what's going to happen with half the quarterbacks. I'd rather have Jacoby Brissett as my starting quarterback than Sam Darnold. I
That's
would.
interesting.
I would take Tua.
He won't be available.
Miami's gonna unload Tua. Tua is a better quarterback than Sam Darnold. You know who's better at quarterback than Sam Darnold right now? Joe Flacco. I would take Joe Flacco over him right now. I would because he's not going to put the ball in harm's way. Tua would, but
That's
Tua would
not
put up
Joe Flacco's reputation.
Joe Flacco. He's an older core. If you tell him to do that, that's what he will do. He's going to be a system quarterback at this point in his career. Jackson Dart was a low first round pick.
Joe Flacco has 10 interceptions right now.
I saw that 15 touchdowns, 10 interceptions. I saw on a really, really bad offense with very little talent around him.
On the Bengals?
When he was on the Browns, that's where he accumulated most of those stats.
Yeah. I think this is
Jackson Dart. Look, and the
more
Bengals, no, hold on. The Bengals have probably the worst offensive line in football.
Well,
Okay,
it
so
is.
it's very, very difficult and no running game to speak of. So it's very difficult to play quarterback as a stationary late 30s quarterback on a team with no offensive line. Jackson Dart, right? Up and coming star in the NFL. People will say that. Drafted at the bottom of the first round last year. Seahawks could have taken him. Quarterbacks will surprise, right? We don't know how to evaluate quarterback talent. Nobody does. So what I'm saying is if you know you have a known commodity that is not a championship quarterback and we don't know how to evaluate quarterbacks very well, let me get another bite at the apple. Let me get another lottery ticket and see what I can find because I want to win a Super Bowl. I'm not satisfied with making the playoffs. And that's
Yeah,
the ceiling. That's the ceiling for this team with Sam Darnold at quarterback. It just is.
I just think that I think if anything wastes a defense like that, I think it's that mindset. I think that Vikings,
No
which
way.
would have otherwise had a Super Bowl roster, which is what most people thought going into the season, I think they would say that they wasted a season trying to take that gamble
They
because there's
did.
a thousand bites at
They
the
did.
apple.
But it is a one that is one quarterback as an example. And a quarterback that people had really varying opinions about in JJ McCarthy. That is
But the
one. You cannot take one example and say that that theory doesn't work. That is
I
one
know I
example.
can. What I can say is that it's not just about the quarterback; it's about the process. I'm
Sure.
evaluating the process. The process was we feel like Sam Darnold's not the guy. We're going to move off of him and start over with a new guy. The
Mhm.
problem is there is so much more risk that comes with that. And in fact, there are not many examples I can point to because most NFL teams just don't operate that way.
You have a 1% chance of making a Super Bowl with the new guy versus a 0% chance with Darnold. Give me the new guy. Daniel
Yeah,
Jones.
and
Daniel Jones is proof that you can take a guy who may have underperformed in the past that we're not even thinking about right now and see him take a team close. If Daniel Jones was still healthy, that is the number one Super Bowl contender in the AFC, the Indianapolis Colts, because the rest of the team is very good. They're not going to be anymore because they're going to play old man grandfather Phillip Rivers potentially.
yeah, definitely want to talk about this Colts game because we haven't even gotten into that yet. But I'll say this, and I will leave it here that your example for Daniel Jones is universally how most people see how brilliant of a decision it was for the Seahawks to get Sam Darnold.
And they will see different in the playoffs, and they were saying different when he was choking. Everyone's going to say what he based on what he did in the previous game. When he was choking, everybody was saying, "Is Sam Darnold the right quarterback for the Seahawks?"
No, that
Everybody
was
was saying, "Yes." When he choked, that's what they were saying. They were
no,
all questioning whether he was the right quarterback.
no. They were questioning could he ever overcome his demons?
That
They were
means is he the
questioning
right quarter? That means is he the right quarterback?
that. I don't think those two are the same. Having a quarterback having a bad game and a quarterback having a
Wait, wait,
flaw
wait,
that
wait.
they've yet to overcome.
A bad game?
Let me ask you this: are
A
people
bad
asking the
wait,
same
no,
thing
a
about
bad game or every bad game when the chips are down?
same thing with Lamar? Is the same thing when Lamar has a bad
Mhm.
game and people are like, and Lamar chokes in the playoffs? Are people asking, is Lamar Jackson the right quarterback
No,
for the
because he's
Ravens?
an MVP. He's an MVP. There's a difference. He's an MVP.
That's the
Big,
only
big
exception.
difference.
You have to have an MVP in order for those two questions to not be the same thing. I
No,
don't think that's the truth. I don't think
I don't
that's true.
either. I don't either. But I'm speaking to the example you brought up.
Yeah,
I'm just
but
saying
what I'm saying is those two
Sam Darnold
questions
is
are different.
at best an average quarterback in the NFL, and this team will not win a Super Bowl with an average quarterback. They just won't. Teams very rarely win the Super Bowl with an average quarterback. Very rarely.
Okay, we'll
He's
see.
average.
We'll
We will
see.
see. We will see for sure.
We'll see. But speaking of old man Rivers,
Yes.
I didn't think I would say this in the year of 2025,
All right. Let
but
me
the
check the
Seahawks
calendar.
will be playing. It seems like all signs point to Phillip Rivers. It seems like that's the guy who they called literally off the couch with his grandkids to come play against of all defenses, the Seattle Seahawks defense. And not only is the Seattle defense up next, but they've got to end their year with the Texas defense. So
Mhm.
Phillips Rivers Philip Rivers looked at that schedule, decided to come off the couch to get knocked out in absolute to the next world by Uchenna Nwosu, Leonard Williams, followed
Mhm.
by Will Anderson and, and Daniil Hunter. He made that choice. And so did the Colts. I gotta get your thoughts on this, man. I don't even know where to start with
Yeah.
this one.
So in his prime, Philip Rivers in his prime, he had a quick release.
Yeah.
but he was one of the most immobile quarterbacks you've ever seen in your life.
Correct.
In his prime,
Mhm.
like zero athleticism, super smart, great processor, quick release, above average arm, kind of a fringe Hall of Famer, not really Hall of Famer, but close to it. And this was what, 10 years ago, 12 years ago when we're talking about him in his prime, and he was stationary then. So he's coming off of his couch after playing with his grandkids, and he's going against the number one, what I consider to be the best defense in the NFL on the road, mind you,
Mhm.
with what was has some talent on the offensive line, but is not talented across the board. I don't know how he escapes this game without going on the injury list, honestly. He's a pinata. He's literally a walking pinata back there against the Seahawks. This team is going to eat him alive.
Yeah, that's absolutely what I expect. Now, he's a hard guy to get down, probably because he's so heavy. He'll probably be hard to
It's
sack.
going to be
Hey, it
bad,
wouldn't surprise me if this is another game where the Seahawks only had like one or two sacks because he's just so heavy and they're like, Jesus Christ, I can't
right?
like get him on the
Can't get him
ground.
down. I think they're going to try to run the ball. I think
I'm
Jonathan
sure.
Taylor, often running behind Quentin Nelson, who's arguably the best guard in football. They're going to try to run the ball. Their defense is pretty good, right? They're going to try to control the game, shorten the game, all those things, which is playing to me right playing right into the Seahawks' hands because
Exactly.
because the Seahawks, that's the game the Seahawks play. I don't know. We don't have to spend that much time. I think this is a blowout to me. This is
Yeah.
31-3, might be 31-10 because Jonathan Taylor busts one for 80 yards and one of the linebackers isn't filling the hole, something like that. Because if you don't fill the hole against him, he's gone, right? Arguably the best running back in football this season. But I don't think he gets a chance to really play because the Seahawks are going to gear up for the run. They're going to dare whoever plays quarterback to pass the ball. They're going to play a lot of, I would play, I don't know. They're either going to play, coverages where they're going to keep everyone in front of them and know they can't throw the ball over the top and just get them into tough third down situations, or they're going to blitz the heck out of them, and the secondary is going to be left one on one, but they're not going to care because they're not going to be able to get the ball out. I don't know. It's going to be interesting. It's going to be fun. To me, this is like a 31-3, 31-10 sort of game. Seahawks are definitely winning this game.
Yeah, I'm not sure that it'll be blitz heavy. I definitely think they'll be intentional about stopping the run. I think they will actually dare Phillip Rivers to beat him with their with his arm,
Hmm.
which should be interesting. I
Well,
can see this being a high interception game
sure.
for that reason. I can actually see a scenario where, as much as this defensive line, I think, strikes fear into the hearts of most NFL teams. I actually don't think this is a game where they eat. Phillip Rivers, like you said, he'll get the ball out quick. That'll be his number one objective. I just think they'll probably confuse him a couple times, like we saw on the Kirk Cousins. They basically baited him into the interception by Devin Witherspoon. Yeah, we didn't even talk about Devin Witherspoon. Um, yeah, there's so many guys to talk about. We didn't even mention Devin Witherspoon, but that's kind of how they got Kirk Cousins. They had him check out of a play. He thought he knew what he was seeing. Kirk calls a bubble screen instead. And ultimately, Devin Witherspoon, they break out of that coverage, confuse Kirk Cousins, and Devin Witherspoon makes a play on the ball, ultimately ends up getting an interception. And so I think they can do some similar things with Phillip Rivers, as much as he tried to as much as Kirk Cousins we saw try to get rid of the ball. I almost think that primed them for this type of game where Phillip Rivers is going to do the exact same thing, try to get that ball out quick, and the Seahawks still found ways to get their hands on the ball. They had those, like I said, 10 passes defense. Like, I think it's another one of those type of games. I also believe that the weather could play a big factor in this particular game, and I think that might muddy things up a little bit. So maybe it's not a blowout. It can even the scales a little bit. But one thing I heard Mike McDonald was asked in his post game presser, not post game, sorry, in his what was it,
Weekly,
Monday
the weekly
presser,
pressing.
yeah, opening up, Monday, and they asked him about or maybe it was Wednesday, it could have been yesterday. They asked him about how, like, Mike Malone's philosophy in terms of if it's raining outside, or like, are they practicing in the rain to get the competitive edge, or are they more playing it safe, keeping the guys safe and playing indoors? And Mike McDonald's like, yeah, man, if it's safe, we're gonna be outside. And so
Hmm.
I love that it gets an already very turnover prone team, including his tight ends and other guys, like, gets them practice with that ball security. I'm sure that'll be a point of emphasis. And
Hmm.
so while it might be muddy, might not be as big of a blowout as we might hope or expect, I still expect it to be a comfortable win, despite the fact that it might not be the numbers. Like I don't know what the spread is. I'm sure it's got to be a gajillion. I don't necessarily expect them to cover if it's like a 13-point spread, but I expect it to be comfortable. Surely, and they could still blow them out, but the weather, in my mind, plays a factor on whether it's a blowout or whether it's a little bit more, tit for tat.
Hmm. It's the only way I can see them not playing well in this game is just the specter of the Rams in general, right? I think that we know that there's going to be some tough games coming up, and you see that Phillip Rivers is the dude you're facing. Like I think if it was me, there'd be a part of me that would be looking ahead. The other thing is that Rams game is Thursday, right?
Yep.
And so I wonder if that's gonna impact what the Seahawks choose to do in this game. Will they pull the starters early, right? Will they rest anybody, that kind of thing, knowing that Rams game is coming up on Thursday night. But I still expect them to win. I just don't think you can lose your starting quarterback. Again, quarterback, most important position in sports to me. I don't think you lose your starting quarterback and go into Seattle against the best defense and win. So I don't think that's happening.
I've seen that happen before.
Yes,
Many years on the Pete Carroll.
with this
What I
team,
haven't, what I've never seen happen is a dude that ain't played in 5 years get off the couch
is that
and
how
win.
long it's been? 5 years?
Yeah, yeah,
Goodness.
yeah.
What
He
is
he
he
played. He
doing?
last played in the COVID season.
What is he doing? Like, you're putting
He
yourself
was.
in danger at that point.
Did you know he was eligible? He's a semifinalist right now for the Hall of Fame,
Yes,
and you can
because he
only get
had
in
that
the Hall
five
of
years.
Fame when it's been 5 years.
That's crazy. Well, we'll see. We'll
Yeah.
see. We've been wrong before. I've certainly been wrong before. We will see.
We better not be wrong about this. Now, listen, if Phillip Rivers, I know he's got a reputation of coming in and dicing up the Seahawks defense, but that was the Pete Carroll defense. It's a different kind of defense. I don't think he's slicing and dicing this particular defense. And so I'll be honest, if Phillip Rivers comes out here with a win, I'm gonna be pissed.
Hey, that was
Just that,
darn near
I'm
those Chuck Knox defenses. Darn near with him. He's been playing for so long. We'll see. We
we
will
will
see.
see. We're looking forward to seeing how that game goes. If nothing else, that's a heck of a storyline to follow for sure. Probably the number
Mhm.
one thing that's keeping me interested in this game ahead of that big Rams game for sure. All right, Tino, tell the folks where they can find you, and let's wrap up. Get out of here.
You can find me on Blue Sky at Tino Junior 20. Just about finished with my starting pitcher tables. I'll start putting out some of those stats. And you can find me rooting, contrary to popular belief, rooting for Sam Darnold in this game, but watching to see how he plays.
Oh yeah, we'll see that. All right. Anyway, be sure to follow the show at Seahawks 360 Pod on X. You're also on Blue Sky at Seahawks 360. In the meantime, guys, that's it. That's all the time we have for today. That's it. We're out. And as always,
Go
go
Hawks.
Hawks.